Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Today, I'm here with Julia FG. My name is Natalia Rasavon, and I'm a tech integrator in Racine Unified for elementary schools, Mitchell, and the B Center. Julia, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Julia Evji, and I'm a tech integrator for the district. I work at 5 different schools within the district, and Natalia just asked me to join her today to give some extra insight and support.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, guys. So today we are going to be doing a Google Classroom for early learners. Julia, you want to start?
Sure. So thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to be giving you some tips and tricks specific to those early learners that you work with. Natalia and I have an education background. We're former classroom teachers before our tech integrator job, and we love technology. But with technology, we know there are some things that we need to keep in mind. So before we get started, we're just going to remind you of some of those things to keep in mind. The first thing is, during this time of distance learning, when your students are at home using devices, we don't know what those devices are. Meaning some of the features of Google Classroom and the activities added to Google Classroom will behave differently depending on that device. So unfortunately, we can't know that and we can't troubleshoot it, but just keep that in mind, especially when parents are contacting you. The other thing we want you to keep in mind is that students should always use technology under the supervision of an adult. We can give you some tips and tricks for early learners. However, students should not be expected to perform digital tasks independently. And then finally, we will not advise you on what's expected in terms of content in your Google Classroom, but today we will give you some samples of what you could add. So again, these are just suggestions. You do not have to do what we're showing you today, just some ideas.
All right, Julia, thank you very, very much. So we're going to start today by doing a quick little review. Remember that when you are joining, creating, or adding something to your Google Classroom, you can access it through your ClassLink applications. You're going to find a folder for Google Apps. When I click on that folder, it's going to take me to all my Google Apps. And then here I will see my Google Classroom. So I'm going to click in my Google Classroom. If you already created your Google Classroom, this is where it's going to be showing. You may have multiple Google Classrooms. I have several because I also participate in different classes. But remember that to create one, what you do is you go to the plus on the top right corner and you click on Create Class. I'm not going to be creating a class because I already have my early learners class right here that I'm going to join by just clicking on it. So remember that we invite people or students or any other staff members by clicking on people. So when I go to the people tag, I will see my teacher. So here is where you're going to invite your administrator, your instructional coach, any co-teacher that works in your class. And here is how you invite your students. So Julia today is going to be acting as a student so you guys can see the perspective and how it will look from a student. As Julia said at the beginning, we do not know what kind of devices the students have, and sometimes Google Classroom will act different based on the devices. Obviously, it will work the best if they have access to a computer. You can access it through a tablet, but the features may change. So I have it here. As you can see, Julia is in a gray color. That means that I already invite her, but she hasn't accepted yet. What that means, it means that she may have not been opened this yet. And remember when we say that technology have to be used under an adult supervision. In this case, probably the adult is the one who has to open the device and make sure that the child accepted the right invitation. Then you can see I have another couple of students here. And you can see that in the guardian part, I have the name of the guardian for one of them, but I also have an email for the second guardian. In the Google classes that we did previously, you will be able to invite your guardians. Inviting doesn't mean they're going to be part of the Google Classroom. It means that an email address will be linked to their accounts. All right, so that's a way that you can actually, if you have their emails account right here, you actually can email all guardians at one time and actually let them know that you have created a Google Classroom. So I'm going to click here, even though I only have one. But you can email them and let them know that you have created a Google Classroom. A lot of you notice that we can invite students with a code. The best way to invite those guardians is actually by just typing the student's name right here. So in that case, when the students open Google Classroom, the classroom will be already open up for them. So that's one thing. So I'm waiting for Julia to actually accept my invitation, and you guys will notice when Julia accepted, this is going to be changed from graded to the darker color like my other students. Remember that we are not touching grades because obviously we are not touching anything. We have the Google class work here, and that's where we're going to be adding activities. So today I want to show you something that I already have done. I already added an activity, and one of my students started working on that activity. The other one saw the activity, and obviously Julia wasn't invited yet. So that's the reason she wasn't aware of the activity. Let's see. Julia, did you accept the invitation?
Do you want me to just accept it, or did you want me to show my screen and showing the join button?
Oh, okay. No, that's totally fine. Thank you for confirming. Okay. So we have it right here. So something that I want to show you right here is that I have this activity here. Remember that when you are creating an assignment, you're going to go to the plus button and you're going to click on create, and you can create different kinds of things. You can use material, assignments, whatever that you would like to add to the classroom. In this case, this activity that I created is like a drag and sort template. And this activity, I got it from a website where I can get activities. So I'm actually going to show you ways that you can access other people's activities and copy them for your classroom. So when I see here, I see that 0 has turned in, but 3 were assigned. This doesn't really mean anything. Like I told you, I have one of my students that had already worked on her activity, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So as you can see here, you can see the 3 copies. You can see that this one says a blank copy. But if you see here in Julia, it says no attachments. Why? Because Julia hasn't joined the Google Classroom yet. This one has access to the Google Classroom, hasn't started work on the activity yet. However, if you can see this student, you can see something is going on. So when I click on it, you will be able to see the activity right there. This student already started working in the activity. And remember, when we are doing early learners, the activities don't need to be very fancy. In this case, the activity was to sort the shapes, and you can sort them by shape type, or you can sort them by color. So it wasn't something that it was extremely difficult, but it was something that the students were able to do. Remember that when you have different files, you share them in your Google Classroom. Now, Google Classroom itself is not an interactive platform that you can actively work with your students. But what it does is more like for you to share those files, and then the students will be able to be interacting with them. So when we are using Google Classroom for early learners, we recommended that you use Google Slides, because Google Slides will be a little more interactive. You can share videos, and we talked before last week about how to make read alouds. And you can also share website links for early learners. So the first thing that I'm going to do, like after I show you this activity, is I'm going to go and I'm going to show you how to create a couple of activities that you may get either from Teachers Pay Teachers. You can make them on, find them on the web, or you can make them yourself. So a website that I recommended for early learners is Christine Pinto. Christine Pinto is an early learner teacher, and she has amazing resources that you can get down here. We will share this website for you, on the sense that you can actually, if you click on it, any of these things, it will take you to a page where it says make a copy. So when it prompts you to make a copy, you can make a copy of the activity by clicking there, and then it will make a copy for you. As you can see right here, it says copy of numbers from 1 to 10. So I have my copy ready in my classroom, and I actually already designed one. I already copied one from Christine Pinto. Something else that you may be able to see is that you may have a activity that is coming from Teachers Pay Teachers, like this awesome activity right here that I got from Teachers Pay Teacher. However, when you come here, you say, oh, this is a PDF. How can I make it interactive with my kids? Make sure that you read all the directions and all the instructions, because right here it's telling you how you can download this activity. So if you are using Google Slides in this case, what we do is we're going to click right there. And also it's going to prompt me to make a copy. So that's how the PDF is going to become interactive. And you guys are going to be able to see the copy already in your drive. So I have it right here. It's making the copy for me. And I will be able to add these activities to my Google Classroom. Now that they're on my drive, I'm going to go right here. I'm going to actually go to my Google Classroom. Every time I always suggest to tell the teachers to prompt the students to go through classwork. So I'm going to go through classwork. I'm going to go to create. I'm going to create an assignment. You can title it anything that you would like to. So in this case, I'm going to name it Alphabet Clips, because that's the one that I downloaded from Teachers Pay Teacher. Then I'm going to go to the add button. And then because it's already on my drive, I'm going to go straight to my drive. Google Classroom will take you to the most recent activities that you have downloaded. And because it was the most recent, you will see it right there. If I download it, like let's say on Friday, and I start working on other things, those other things are going to be showing right here. So that's when you need to make sure that you keep a little organization and save your activity in a specific place on your drive. Maybe put it in a specific folder, call it early activities, call it numbers, whatever you want to. But because I have it right here, what I do is I can either click one time and click the button add, or I can double click it. When I double click it, I already added to my Google Classroom. But now something that I always prompt the teachers to make sure they have it right is that instead of having the students can view the file, because technically that's the only thing that teachers can do, is like make sure that you make a copy for each student. So it's interactive for those students. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right there. When I do that, you will see what I previously showed you on this activity. Each one of my children will get a copy, and each one of them will be able to work on that activity. So when I say make a copy for each student, I need to make sure I have it in the right classroom. If you have more than one classroom, you actually can click right here and add all those classrooms that you would like the kids to have that activity for. You can also differentiate here on all the students. You can pick a certain amount of students, whatever you would like to. And right now, again, we are no grading, so we're going to pick ungraded. No due date. If you have a topic, you definitely can do it. So I'm going to assign it. You can also add instructions here if you want to. We have something really cool. We're going to show you in a little bit about instructions. So I have it right here. I assign that activity. And it's ready to go. Now, do you guys remember that copy that I also download from the web, from that website that I told you from Christine Pinto? I downloaded another activity previous to that, and it was from her as well. and it was color words. Remember that when you're downloading activities from other people, you need to make sure that you go through those activities, make sure that they are appropriate, and you can actually change it to fit your classroom. You make the changes that are necessary for your classroom, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So I'm going to go and I'm going to add another assignment called color words. And then, like I said, remember, if it was something that I opened during the weekend, it's probably not going to be showing here on the most recent ones. Absolutely not. So I have to go to look for my activities on my drive. What I did is I actually put it on a specific folder. And I can type the folder name. And from here, another folder I did. And early learners, here it is. So I have right here, and look at how it says copy of color, because I make it from her website. I have it right here. I'm gonna do exactly the same thing right here. And I'm going to make a copy for each student. So every child get one. Now, here I downloaded this activity from her, from Christine Pinto. Now, she had it right here, and her purpose was the kids to go search for pictures. I felt like my students maybe are younger, maybe they don't know how to do that. So what I did is I added the pictures here on the side, so they actually can say, oh, Red, I can drag this, I can drag here, so they can work by themselves. So that's when I say that sometimes when we find stuff, we need to go around and make sure that we modify those activities so they are good for our students. So again, I have a copy for each student. I have right here the name of my activity for all my students, and then I'm ready to assign it. So when I have it here and it's already to assign, it's working on it, you guys. Give it a second. Now I have 3 different activities. Remember, I have my students here. Oh, and look at this. Julia already accepted my invitation. So I actually, if I click here and I have the email of her guardians, I can invite her guardians not to be part of the classroom. Remember, that's more like an email that is attached to the student. Then if I go here, and maybe I want to decide to go and see my activities, a good classroom tip that you can see even when you are in the classroom is that you actually can see live when the students are working on a certain assignment. So if I go here and maybe I click on Julia, if Julia is working on this assignment at this time, I will be able to see what she's working on. Oh, look at that. I can see, oh, do you see how she's moving her tags? I'm gonna go to the second page because I see that she is working on the second page. I can see her beautiful face and you can see it moving. So I actually can give her some feedback. So you may be lucky enough to see this at the same time now that we are working in a distance learning. Maybe yes, maybe not. But definitely when you are in the classroom and you are assigning those kids to work maybe in a different group when you're working with other kids, you can actually like take a peek and see what they are doing. So I can see that Julia is moving her tags, and I can see if she's doing a good job or maybe she's not working very well on her assignment. So that's a quick classroom management tip that we are giving you right here. So that's something here. I can see that those ones are assigned, but I don't see them working maybe right now. So what we're gonna do right now is I'm going to give the screen to Julia. So actually you guys can see how is the view from the student view. So here is Julia showing her screen.
Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to show you is because Natalia invited me as a student by typing in my name, when I went to my Google Classroom, all I had to do was click on this blue join button. I didn't have to enter a code. This is the best, easiest way for those early learners. All they have to do is click on this blue join button. And you want to tell parents to make sure that they're in the student account. And I know that I'm in my student account because in the top right corner, I see this avatar. And this is my avatar when I'm a student. So then all I did was click join. And now I'm going to show you how my classroom looks. So here I am as the student, and it's going to bring me to that stream automatically. And like Natalia said, I like to tell parents and students to go right to classwork. So here in the classwork tab, I can see Natalia gave me color words, alphabet clips, and that drag and sort. So if I click on the name of the assignment, here I can see because she made a copy for me, it even says my name. So your student's name will be added as the title of the file. So then all I have to do is click on this, and it opens up this activity. And then like you saw before from the teacher side, all I have to do is take my little image or whatever it is, that manipulative, and I can just click and drag to move it around.
Excellent. Thank you, Julia, so much for showing that to all of us. Remember that based on the device, the things can change. So yesterday, for example, I was trying to work with an iPad on this in some of these activities. And sometimes when you're working on an iPad, it can be a little more difficult, and they wouldn't need to download the Google Slides sometimes, and that brings an extra layer. So that's the reason we don't know what the students are using. That's the reason some students will be able to work easier than other ones. So just to keep in mind. All right. So now that Julia has shown us how to, Julia, do you want to talk about the turn in button or not yet?
Sure, I can do the turn in button.
All right. So go ahead. I'm going to stop presenting.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so if I was in this alphabet clip card activity as a student, my students will have the option to turn this in. Now, they don't have to turn it in. That's completely optional. But for you as the teacher, you need to be aware that when your students click that turn in button, they're going to lose access. That means I won't be able to come in here and manipulate my clips anymore if I click on that turn in button. So I guess that's up to you what you want to communicate to your students and families, either to use the turn in button or to not use it. So here is my assignment. And you can see right here, there's this blue turn in button. Again, this was my name for the file of the assignment. And once I click turn in, it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to turn it in? Yes, I'll click turn in. And now when I click on that assignment, do you see how it's view only? I'm not able to move these clips anymore because it's view only. So again, just really think about what you want to communicate to your students and parents if you want to use that turn in button or not.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. I'm answering a question right here on the chat about inviting. When we were talking about like inviting the students, it's way easier just to invite the students instead of giving them a code. And someone was asking, do we invite them with their email? You definitely can. Remember that the student's email address is their S number. You cannot invite parents for the classroom. You invite them as a guardian, but not as a parent. No, as a student, I'm sorry. Just because we can only approve people from the same domain to be part of the Google Classroom. So I hope that is clear. Alrighty, so I'm going back here because now I'm going to be adding another activity to my Google Classroom. So when I go back to the classroom, again, we were right here. I'm just going to go back to my class. And then I'm going to add another activity. But in this activity, what am I going to do is I'm going to be adding a video. And that video is going to have either, you can have a read aloud, you can have instructions, and you can have different kind of stuff. So this is shapes, city shapes or shapes everywhere. And what I did is I found a book on Raz-Kids, and then I myself create an activity based on the book. So remember, sometimes you may say this is very time consuming, but just remember that you are planning for ahead of time. Those are activities that you're going to be able to use with your classroom on years to come. So what I do is I already pre-created that activity. I'm going to go to my Google Drive. I'm going to go to my Drive in my early learners folder that I have. Have it right here. Then what I do is I created this activity based on a book that I read in Raz-Kids. So what I want to do is I actually want to add the link to that book. So before I even do this part, you guys, you need to make sure that you go to your Drive. So I'm going to go to my Drive. Give me a second. Right here. And then I'm going to add that video portion. So I'm going to have it right here. I probably want to add an extra slide if I want to. And then I'm going to go to insert, and then I can go and insert a video. Okay, now I don't want it to look on YouTube. I don't want to search it by the URL, but then I'm gonna go to my Drive, and here is where I have all my drives. So I have the shape book here, and what's gonna happen is that this is my read aloud. So last week, if you attended the read aloud session, you will be able to do this. So now it's inserted right on my own activity. So I do know how to send the kids to different places. They will be able to come here, play the book, make a full screen if they want to. You can see the teacher's face reading the book. It will be like great for them, for that interaction, for that emotional learning part when they are connected with you. City shapes. So I will be reading to my students. I have it ready. Shapes. What? I have it perfect. I added, and then here the activity, and at the end of the video, I actually told them make with the next slide. Make sure that you make a city or a figure with these shapes, so they can come and start like making different. You know, like maybe I can make a tree here and bring the apples. They can do whatever they want to. So now that I have it ready, I already entered and added my video. I have it all good to go. So I actually can go to my Google Classroom. I have it right here. I'm gonna go to my add button. Gonna go to my Google Drive, and I have my activity right here. Remember that if you would like to preview this, the only thing you need to do is click right there, and it will show it to you, for you. So I have it ready to go. It's perfect. I need to make sure number one is that I can make a copy for each student. So each student will get the copy of the book and also the copy of the activity. I ungrade it, I give it to all of my students, and then I assign it. Julia, is any questions that you would like me to answer aloud, or are we good to continue?
I think we're good to go. Maybe at the end, we need to clarify versus inviting students and parents, but you can just keep going with your activity.
Got you. Perfect. That's something that we can do. Something else that I can do is like I have it here. Maybe something that my students use a lot, maybe ABC. So that's a very good website that the students can use. So instead of adding ABC, like the kids looking for it, because again, they are little, and when they get to the habit of using the same place to access everything, it's really amazing and powerful, because they will be able to control their own Google Classroom, and they will be able to get everything they need down there. So what you do is, instead of giving an assignment, what am I doing is I'm going to add material. So when I click material, I can actually name this one A, B, C, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them the direct link to the website. Now, I know that the ABC website is abc.com. But maybe I want to be a little more specific. Maybe I want them to go straight to the pre-K. Maybe what I want them to do is practice just letters. And maybe what I wanted to do is like every week, I'm going to give them an ABC, but I'm going to tell them a specific something to do. So let's say I want them to click on the magnet activity. So in that case, I'm going to make sure that I highlight the browser here on the top. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come here and I'm going to paste it. So what's happening is that this link will be directly to the magnet activity. So I can name it ABC magnet, if I can spell, magnets activity. All right, so I have it right there and I can post it straight and my kids will have direct access to that activity. Something else, last week when we did the read aloud, something that I told you too is that you don't need only to record books. You can record whatever you want to with your Google Meet. In this case, I recorded a mini lesson about shapes. The whole topic sort of here is shapes, class, you can name it whatever you want to. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a link to, well, actually, no, I can actually add it from my Google Drive. My apologies. I'm going to go to my Google Drive. And then I'm going to look for that video that I created. And usually remember that anything that you record using your Meet is going to be in a folder called Meet. And then here is an activity that I created using the Jamboard. Last week, I briefly talked about the Jamboard. The Jamboard is a Google application that you can actually get it through your Waffle. And when you go through your Waffle, if you keep going down all the way, you're going to find this Jamboard. And this Jamboard is kind of like a whiteboard. So if you combine this Jamboard with your Google Meet, you will be able to do kind of like mini lessons. So again, I'm here. I have my video. If I want to preview it, you just click on it. And you will be able to see that I actually create an activity about shapes.
All right. Today, we are going to where shapes has that I'm going to.
And then I talk
2 sides,
3 sides, 4 sides, and then I show in the kids,
How many sides?
blah, blah, blah. And then we can go over that. I got it. I have my video ready to post, and then I can share it with everybody. So now I have like 5 different activities that they can be interactive activities and material that the kids can actually access from the Google Classroom. Remember what we say earlier, they always gonna need an adult supervision no matter what. Even if they are in our classroom, we don't really put our kids in a corner with technology and let them work by themselves. It's some kind of directions, some kind of guidance that go with that. So we need to make sure that that is transferred and transmitted to the parents as well. So they have to be some kind of guidance. Those are some ideas for you guys, for early learners. Again, remember that it's not an interactive platform where you're going to be working with students. Instead, we have some files that you can add it to the classroom, and then the kids can interact with those files. So those are some ideas right here. Julia, do you want to add something?
No, just a couple people in the chat asked how you recorded via Google Meet. I tried explaining it, but they asked if you could share that video if they did not attend.
Absolutely. So I do have that video for you guys. If you please email me, because I don't know who's in the chat right now asking those questions, I will be able to email them to you, email the video. So that's pretty much like some different activities that you guys can actually add and make it a little more interactive, like we say. But remember, it's always need to be under supervision, no matter what, or a little guidance for the kids to start working on it. And it's also based on the different devices.
Wait, Natalia, we have another question. Maybe you could demo this or explain the difference.
Sure.
Lisa's saying, I've been posting my homework to the stream. What's the difference between adding things to the stream instead of classwork?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. A lot of people are so used to the stream. So the stream is going to be totally posted right here on the first page that they have. In the classroom, I felt like it's a little more organized, and you actually can create it as an assignment. So when you create on the stream, you're creating it as a post, like something at this point, we are not grading, we are not doing stuff like that. But when you post it on the screen, you cannot actually make a copy for each student. You have to go to the Google Classwork and make the copy, so each student will get it. The stream sometimes can become a little overwhelmed just because everything that you posted will be here. And sometimes I know with little ones it's a little different, but when you have maybe older kids, they may be able to type stuff here. And then even without knowing, you will have 1,000 comments or like emojis or stuff like that, and your work will be missing on all that. Anything that you would like to add to that, Julia?
No, I would just say you should always create things for your students, especially with these early learners, in the classwork tab. Like we said, just get them in the habit of going to classwork. Maybe Natalia, you could show the settings real quick on how you can turn off the stream. That way the parents aren't confused on accessing the stream.
Very good. So when we go to the class settings, so we're gonna go every time that you see a gear right here, the gear is talking about settings. So what I do is I go right there. The first settings that you will see is your name class. You can change this at any time, so it doesn't matter. Then this is the famous code that we were talking about. Again, if you share this code with parents and the parents trying to join your classroom with their personal email, it's not gonna work. So first thing, the only ones who are able to join the class are going to be the students with an RUSD account. Remember that the student email address or a student number is the S number, S12345. It has like a 5-digit number, and that's how they join. Now here we have the stream, and that's what Julia was talking about. So the students can post and comment. You actually can students can only comment, or in this case, especially working with early learners, maybe the best thing to do will be only teachers can post or comment. I imagine that if you want the students, if they know how to read and write, maybe something that you want to do is maybe students can only comment to the post that you guys have. But otherwise, I probably would turn that off. You can also see that the classroom on the screen by default is only showing condensed notifications, but you can also hide notifications. So nothing will be showing on the screen for notifications on that manner. Obviously, by default, it's also no showing deleted items, and that's because you don't want it to be even more overwhelming experience. So then when I save it, my stream won't be showing everything right here. As you can see now, you don't even see my classes, my activities that I added for the kids. It's totally empty. So the kids will be forced to go through classwork to find out their activities. So that's a way to pretty much like get the students on the habit of going into classwork.
So
Okay.
Natalia, someone else asked, is it possible to turn off the turn in option for classwork? No, that's something that Google Classroom controls. You're always going to have your students with that option to turn it in. Unfortunately, we can't change that.
Yeah, but you know what? Not many students know or understand the turn in feature. So the possibilities that the students turn it in is really minimum. They will turn it in if they are thought to do it, but finding it on their own, if they turn it in, is probably by mistake. And remember that you can always return the work. So Julia, which one was the one that you turned in?
I believe it was the alphabet clips.
The alphabet clips. Yeah. So if I go here, oh yeah, absolutely. So you see that I have one student that turned it in. So if by mistake Julia turned it in and she didn't finish her work, I can actually return it to her. So you can see the name here, turn it in, Julia. It says turn it in. And every time I see 3 dots, is something that I can do to that space, that activity, that assignment. So I can actually click return and it will be returned to her. Obviously, you know, younger child won't be able to read a comment, but maybe the parent will be able to identify, or you just click return. So when the kid is actually, when you return it, the kid will be able to see it. Julia, do you want to show how this return assignment will look on your screen?
Sure.
Okay.
Oops. Looks like I have to reload it. So before, remember how it said view only after I turned it in, I wasn't able to edit. Now that she returned it to me, I can still move my clips around. I guess the point here is just when you're troubleshooting with parents, if a parent emails you and says, hey, my kid can't manipulate anything on Google Slides, it's stuck, it says view only, you as the teacher need to realize, oh, they might have turned it into me and that's why they lost access. So on your teacher side, like Natalia just showed, you would have to go and find that student's assignment, click on those 3 dots, and then choose return. And then the parent and student should have access again.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, Julia. Something else to do, me personally, I like to create topics for my Google Classroom. So all my activities don't show in a disorganized way, for saying, for example, like they all show right here. You can actually create topics about like to keep it organized. So I can create one that is about shapes. So I'm gonna go here to the bottom part where it says topics. I click right there and I actually, oops. I can come here and it says shapes. And that is going to help the students to start like maybe identifying letters, words, sounds. So that's a way to do it. So after I create that topic, you see it right here, but you see all your activities right here. Something that you can do is, remember, you have every time you see 3 dots, that means there is a way that you can edit. I go right there, and then I actually can come here and add it to my shapes. And that's super easy, simple to do. I can go to, if I found an ABC activity that is about shapes, I can also add it right there. I have the drag and sort activity. So I actually can, again, move it to the shapes topic. And that's when I keep me and maybe my students a little more organized in that sense. Any other questions, Julia?
Someone just wrote in, do assignments stay in your classroom forever or only a certain amount of time?
So they will be there, yeah, I mean, forever, if you mean it like if someone doesn't remove it, talking about the teacher, or if you don't have a due date. So in this case, we don't have a due date, so the kids can continue working on those assignments until the end of the year or until they turn it in. That would be the other way to end it, those assignments. Yep. Or like if you archive the classroom, then when you archive the classroom, the kids won't have access to the classroom any longer. Okay, so pretty much that's everything that we have on early learners. Julia, any other things?
Yeah, one more question.
Yep.
Lisa said, so did an email go to Julia's student email address that the parents need to check to know the assignment was returned? Or how would she be notified if it was returned? I just want to know how parents are going to be notified if we are posting assignments, or they have to self-check the classroom.
So every time you send something, yeah, the students will get an email. The student's email will be notified. So Julia's email is the one that is going to get notified, letting her know that we returned the assignment, unless she turned off those notifications. That I don't think many students, and especially the younger ones, I don't think they know how to turn it on or off. If you want extra, then what you can do is you can actually go to your people and then maybe email Julia parents and say, by the way, I just turned on the assignment so Julia can continue working on it. So that's an extra kind of like cushion or background for you guys to communicate with parents. Yep. So that's pretty much it.
One more question, Natalia.
Yep. Go for it.
She said, once you archive a classroom, can you use it for the next year?
So what you can do when you archive the class is you can unarchive it, or before you actually archive it, you can make a copy of that class. So what happened is like, I'm going to probably archive this one so I can show you before, or actually I can come here. And then when I have in my classroom hub right here, when I have all my classes, again, every time that you guys see 3 dots, that means I can do something to that. And when I say that, I mean in that page, that activity, that whatever that they are, those dots connected to. So what I do is I click on my 3 dots. And if you see here, I can either archive it or I can make a copy of this class. So when I make a copy, I can make a copy for next year. So instead of naming a copy of early learners, I can say 2020, 2021. I can't believe I'm saying this. Early learners. So when I make a copy, this classroom will be ready for me to use next year. Now, what is the beauty about making this copy? The beauty about making this copy is, if I can open it up, just give it a second, you guys. So now I can archive this one. Just give it a second, it's creating the class. When you make the copy, then you can archive it. Now that I have this new class, I will have no people here, so I can enjoy my new students. But the cool thing is that I will have all the activities that I posted in my previous classroom. They are right here, but they are saved as a draft. What that means, it means that maybe you change the order that you teach. Maybe you change the time that you teach these things. So the cool thing is that, oh, I'm ready to, do the alphabet clips. So when I go to my 3 dots on the corner, I can go to edit, and I actually can make sure that everything is working the way I want it, and then I can assign it right away. So that will be the only difference when you're making a copy. Everything will be there, but you will have to manually start assigning all those activities. So that's a great question.
Okay, we have another question.
Go
So
for it.
Tanya says, what is the best way to have parents manage the classroom? Should you email them when there are assignments or just have them check their child's email at certain times?
So that's personal preferences from you guys. It's not like a right or wrong answer to that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Julia, what you think too. For me, it's more like what would be make it easier for me and them. So you can either at first to send in an email and say, I will be posting, and if you are like a very organized person and you know, like I have my son's teacher is extremely organized, and I know that every Monday morning she has all the activities for the whole week. So maybe you email them one time at the beginning and say, every Monday by 8 a.m., your child will have activities to do for each week. That can be your choice. Maybe something that you want to do is like, I will be emailing you every week, letting you know. So that's more like a personal choice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely personal choice. And you want to make it like as easy as possible for the parents. I know it's really hard for us to try this Google Classroom now, in spring when most of the year has passed. But I see someone saying something in the chat like, oh, you could have them download the app at orientation. Yeah, that's a great idea. Start the year off with Google Classroom, talk to your teammates, decide how your building is going to handle this, and just make it as simple as possible. If you like using Remind or Class Dojo as a way to communicate with your parents, that's great. Keep using that to communicate with them and just give them a heads up, like Natalia said. Hey, it's Monday. Here I am on Class Dojo. I just wanted to let you know over on Google Classroom, I put a week's worth of activities. So it's really personal preference, but just kind of stick with one communication method with your parents to make it easier for them, and then just support them in whatever way you can.
Yep, that for sure. Thank you, Julia. Yeah. So again, like what Julia say, it has to be what is easier for you and what is easier for your students and parents. In the chat, I added the Google form. If you want to get a certificate for this hour of training, you will get an hour that you can actually add it to your 40-hour of training. After this, by tomorrow, we will be sending you a recording of this session and some materials that you may be able to use to share your Google Classroom with your families and stuff that you can use, like what I mentioned before, like for example, the templates from Christine Pinto. This is a great website where you can actually find different things, different templates that you can modify based on your needs and your students. I know a lot of you use a lot of teachers pay teachers. That can be something else. Or like I did myself, and I was designing my own activity using Raskits, not this one, the other one that I showed you earlier. So you can actually do that as well, to create your own activities. Don't hesitate at all to reach to us. Remember that there's 6 of us and we are in different buildings. If you don't know who your tech integrator is, we have this page right here where I told you who your tech integrator is. If you have any particular specific questions, if you want the recording for the read alouds, please also email me and then I will email you the link. And thank you again for participating today. We really enjoy having you here today. And if you have any other questions, like I say, don't hesitate to email us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.